Hi, I'm Janet. After years of trying to figure out the film industry, making some gains, only to see them dwindling away, I finally got my shit together and I made $85,000 my first year in the film industry in Los Angeles. Creating a career in film does not need to be a struggle. You can start in your city. I want to teach you my process and teach you how to do it. You'll see that you really can live that extraordinary film lifestyle that only the film industry can provide. Let's go.
I'm working with Bradley Cooper and his mom. The director was Brian Klugman, who is an actor. You might want to maybe Google him, Brian Klugman. A lot of actors become directors. They are so good because they understand acting. In this commercial, he actually was acting in it as well as directing. Actors, know that you're going down the right path if you also want to direct. And if you are wanting to direct, and you might want to consider acting as well. Develop both of those abilities. The film set, this is our playground. This is where we are all meant to be. Just being there consistently, doing our job is how people will get connected to you, and that's how they'll know that you're good, okay? You do your job. If you're like, I want to connect with people, I want to get my ideas out there, okay, so number one, do your job. And then number two, in those quiet moments, as you do your job, let your personality come out too, because you can do your job and you can be like I used to be like that. Or you can be like, yeah, no problem, let's get this thing going, and just like I can smoothly move through this. I can handle whatever's coming at me. It's not stressful, it's fun, like we're in the zone now. Because how you're getting hired is how people feel when they're seeing you do the job. How I feel about this person is, yeah, they're very good technically and they can communicate well, and this job has a lot of points of communication and figuring things out and troubleshooting on their own, and oh yeah, that person's perfect for it and I recommend them. Or this person gets a little bit stressed and I don't know if they can, it's like how my impression is, how I feel about them. So be thinking about how you want to be showing up, how you want to be thinking and feeling as you do your job at the highest level. And don't be thinking so much about what other people think about you. You just focus on your own job, how you want to show up, how you want to be at the highest level that you want to be at. Meaning, I can be there as a sound mixer. I'm a technical person. I just do my job. Or I am like the director's right-hand person. Sound is half the picture. And I am part of their amazing team. They sought me out. They wanted me for the Super Bowl spot. In fact, when I got on set the other day, the producer was like, we're so glad that we had you. I've been wanting to work with you forever. I've heard your name forever. I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for being here. He's like, I know that you're really hard to get because you're so good. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. But it's true. This is how they feel about you. How they feel about me. Like, oh, we got to get her. She would be the best. And then we don't have to think about this anymore. She'll handle it all. And so when they first reached out to me and it was the Super Bowl spot, they're like, are you by chance available on Saturday? And I said, this is what I said, guys. I said, what's the rate? Is it a day shoot? Is there boom operator? Is this regular budget or higher budget than normal? I want to know all these things. And can I see the boards, please? So I didn't say yes or no. I asked him basically kind of like a screening email. They responded every single one, every single question. And then they sent me the NDA. And they're like, so you available? So now they're kind of pursuing me. And so then finally I said, because I have to let them know, because I'm professional too, yes, I'm available. And they're like, okay. And then they threw me a bunch more things, because this is a big shoot. They're like, but we have 7 cameras and all of these things. And so I respond back with one email, all the questions answered in one email. Okay, this is no problem, we have this. This is no problem because we have this. This is going to be fine because this. And then they're like, phew, oh. And this is why they hired me. And then I show up on set with my vibe, talking to them, seeking out the director, the owner of the company, all these people, and handle it with my pinky finger. Because it's the way that I'm thinking about my role and how I do my job and how I support them and what makes me good at my job, so they're just like, oh, then they can focus on their job. By the way, we shot for like 5 hours to grab like just these little tiny moments that they're going to put together and it's going to be really funny, you know. But this is filmmaking. This is filmmaking. It's all like probably 300 people. Probably cost, I don't know, $1.5 million, maybe $2-3 million for that one day yesterday. This is where we're all going. And what's going to get us there? The way that we think about ourselves and our job, learning to manage our minds, watching our thoughts and choosing the thoughts that we want to have that go with the future person that we already are, but developing that part of us. And you live that and you be that now. Working on these sets, being around, performing and acting and telling a story, and comedy and learning what is comedy, really, it sharpens that muscle so that you're able to think of lines, improv lines, write scripts, know how to shorten a script so it's punchy and funny and, you know, and it goes into people's minds. This is a skill that's developed. And you really develop it when you're paying attention on these sets. You know, you just cannot do this work in a vacuum. That is my main message to you guys, is this work, this film work, and doing it at the professional level. This is something that when you're around it, you soak it up. It might be like, okay, they're the lucky ones, but when you notice and when you're on these sets and you watch the performances of these people, you see, oh no, they deserve to be there. They are freaking sharp. They are good. And they have developed their skills where they are like, they are top-notch people. They're top-notch skills. And this is developed. So what I want to say is that it's a shift in perspective that people get when they have been in the film industry since a young age, when their parents have been in the industry. I was just reading a nepotism article this morning. I'm like, well, what is it really that gives people an advantage? Because one thing is for sure, if you're not talented, you might get one role, you might get a couple of bones thrown to you, but you're not going to get much. Really what it is, I believe, is this perspective of being around the industry. Like, you don't put it on a pedestal. It's like, oh, this is just a business that I need to learn these skills and get good at, and meet the people and then pitch my ideas and sell my ideas and start to speak their language. Because one thing that I noticed for sure on this set with Bradley Cooper and his mom, they speak a certain language. It's a certain kind of like, it's a fast-paced kind of Hollywood kind of language that is super creative. You hear it a lot really on TV show sets and feature film sets, not so much commercials, but you hear this kind of like a fast-paced kind of bantering, kind of like a lot of like bro and a lot of like, throwing your own ideas, and I can try it this way, I can try it this way. And when you're around it, then you start to understand it and you start to become like that too. You don't have to come into this business already speaking that language. And, the people that have been around it for so long, they naturally kind of pick it up. But everybody else that isn't around it, which is a vast majority of people, you pick it up when you're paying attention. To change your life, I always tell the story of how in order to change my life, I had to do something drastic. I had to quit my job and decide to travel around the world. I'm like, okay, doing something drastic, like that's what Mel Robbins says, is do something just like, boom, drastic, that gets you out of that place, and then you have new thoughts. And it's true that when you do something drastic, all of a sudden you're in a new place and you do have new thoughts, and that's why that can work. But it's not doing something drastic that is the impetus of the whole thing. It is the new thoughts that you're able to generate that creates the whole thing. So by being on these sets and paying attention and seeing things from a different viewpoint, this is what is creating this career, okay? That's what it is. It's not like doing something drastic. Doing something drastic, again, will give you thoughts of like, oh, wow, I did that, and that was hard, so now I'm in a new place. So it's always how you're thinking about it. And this is why the thinking is so important, because you have to monitor your thinking all the time. So I'm going to ask you guys, what have you been doing this week for your film career? What have you been doing to make a huge impact, a huge leap in your film career? What are you doing to get on these sets consistently? If you look at what you've done in the last week, it's just a little bit of a wake-up call. It's really useful to kind of catch ourselves, because we all get into a trance, a same way of living and doing every day, same thing. And we get in a trance before we get in the film industry. And then, boom, I'm like, do this, do this, do this. And then you start getting on small sets, and you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that I could do all these things, and I could learn all these things, and oh my God, this is where I'm supposed to be. Now that got you out of the trance. Now you have new thoughts. And then from there, you're like starting to do this, and more sets, more people, meeting more people. Some of them are disorganized. Some of them you don't learn that much. Some of them you froze your ass off, or you were hungry, and you're like, I don't know if this is working, and then you still have your job. Then you hear people on these big sets, like Adriana's on all these big sets. It's like, oh wow, she can do it. She's so amazing, but this is what I have, and this is where I'm at. And then you keep doing the get on shoots method. You keep doing background to PA method. You might start calling people on your magic list. And all of a sudden, boom, you're on a set. You're on a big set. And you're like, oh, but I'm just a small person on this big set and everybody knows what they're doing. And oh my God, I feel so overwhelmed. Am I ever going to, actually get to where some of these people are and make $100,000 in this industry and be able to, can I really do that? And that's why it's like this. It's like a process. So again, you've done something drastic now. Now you're on the big sets. And now, again, you have all different thoughts. Now your mind is all like kind of like messed up again, because you're kind of like, I knew where I was in the student film land. Like I felt pretty good there, felt pretty comfortable. All of us were trying to get in the industry, and I'm pretty good with like trying to get in the industry. I feel pretty good about that. But now I'm on these big sets. I'm like, holy shit. Now if I make one mistake, I'm out of here. If that person doesn't like me, I mean, I can't even like ask them and find out. I'm on such a tight, whisper thin. Now, this is all thoughts that we have. It's not like it's true. This is just like how it feels. Like, holy shit, now it really counts. At that point, we need to now generate new thoughts. No, this is my home. This is where I belong. This is my educational place. I'm going to get hired back here again because I am good. So you change the story again, okay? And you're changing it to feed you. What are these? These are thoughts. These are thoughts that give us a feeling of confidence so that we can show up on set in a new way. So instead of letting our brains just go, oh my God, all over the place, like, what if they don't like me? What if they mess up? I just remember feeling like this so much when I was starting, like, say the wrong thing, then they're not going to like me, and I'm going to show my newness, and then, they're not going to hire me again. And that's why I really want to be always teaching you, reminding you. Those thoughts that you're having when you're there on set brand new, and even when you're, at the level that I'm at and Adriana are at, our minds can still go wild with thoughts. This is why this self-coaching is so important, because if you want to reach the highest levels, you have to finely tune your mind. Your mind cannot just be all over the place and reacting to everything. That's not how you're going to show up as being your best self. And we also don't want to beat ourselves up for having a mind that goes all over the place, because guess what? You have a human mind. I have a human mind too. Everybody here has a mind that goes all over the place. The point here is to just start to practice this way of thinking where you choose the thoughts that give you the feeling that you want so that you can show up as your best. And noticing when our mind is going all over the place and going, wait a second, am I going to show up as my best self right now? You can have a mismanaged mind and be doing the job, but you're missing one tool. And that one tool is managing your mind. It can be total chaos, and it shouldn't be this way. Those are two thoughts. Or it can be, this is perfect. I'm in the groove now. Good thing I'm here. Those being the primary thoughts, which make you feel confident, make you feel valued, make you feel important because you are, and then you show up that way. Now, not always is their mind going to show up that way. I believe, and maybe you've already noticed yourself, that when you're on set, you snap into a different version of yourself. So if you're already stopping yourself from getting on set, and I'm saying it this way too, stopping yourself, because you got to be stopping yourself. There's something that you're thinking that is making you be like, I'm scared to get on them, or it's not going to work anyway, or some kind of thought that's keeping you stuck in this it's so hard to get on these sets. That thought right there will prevent you from getting on sets.
Thanks for listening today. And if you have a moment, could you please leave me a review? I would love that. And make sure you head over to friendsandfilm.com/join and sign up for my free mini course on what you need to know to find opportunities and start making film and acting work come to you. I'll see you next week.